Volodymyr Zelenskyy, a critical exploration of leadership. Introduction. Volodymyr Zelenskyy, the sixth president of Ukraine, catalyzed a tsunami of change in the political landscape of the nation when he assumed office in May 2019. His meteoric rise from comedian to commander-in-chief is often highlighted as a narrative of hope and renewal. However, a closer examination of his character, aptitude, and ability to serve as president unveils a figure whose leadership is marred by controversies, indecision, and an inconsistent grasp of the responsibilities that accompany such a significant role. A comedic predecessor. Born on January 25, 1978, in Ukraine, Zelenskyy grew up in a Jewish family amid significant anti-Semitic sentiment in the former Soviet Union. He pursued law at the Kyiv National Economic University, but redirected his energy to the performing arts. Building his career as an actor and comedian, Zelenskyy gained prominence with his role in the television series Servant of the People, where he played a history teacher who inadvertently becomes president. This role garnered him immense popularity as a relatable character, tapping into the frustrations of everyday Ukrainians against the establishment. However, his transformation from actor to politician raises critical questions about his suitability for leadership. Rather than being a traditional politician with a profound understanding of governance and public policy, Zelenskyy's ascent was largely founded on his entertainment background. This shift seems more a caricature of democracy than a genuine evolution of political leadership. The political landscape. Zelenskyy's political party, also named Servant of the People, emerged in a climate fraught with corruption and political disillusionment. His populist campaign effectively resonated with a public eager for change. By July 2019, the party had won a parliamentary majority, signaling a significant shift in political dynamics. However, this overwhelming mandate does not absolve him of scrutiny regarding his capabilities and commitment to the position. Initially, many perceived Zelenskyy's rise as a refreshing alternative to the entrenched corruption characteristic of previous administrations. However, his presidency has often felt more like a continuation of the populist rhetoric he had promised to overturn, with an emphasis on charisma over substance. Controversies and policy failures. Zelenskyy's presidency has been plagued by controversies and policy failures that call into question his judgment and leadership abilities. His approach to governance often appears reactive rather than proactive, leading to missed opportunities for substantial reform. The following points illustrate significant aspects of his presidency that reveal a troubling pattern of governance. 1. Handling the COVID-19 pandemic. Zelenskyy's response to the COVID-19 pandemic drew criticism for its lack of clear strategy and transparency. Early in the crisis, he seemed ill-prepared and slow to act, which amplified public concerns about the government's ability to manage a public health emergency effectively. His administration faced backlash for inconsistent policies and a poor communication strategy, resulting in widespread confusion among citizens. While other leaders globally utilized this unprecedented crisis to establish themselves as decisive figures in times of uncertainty, Zelenskyy's hesitance and mismanagement portrayed him as less than competent. 2. Corruption allegations. Despite his initial anti-corruption platform, allegations of corruption have persisted throughout his presidency, which starkly contrasts his pledges. In a country where corruption has long been a central issue, the president's failure to decisively tackle corrupt practices within his administration and the parliament raises disconcerting doubts about his political will and understanding of what good governance entails. Critics have pointed out that some of Zelenskyy's aides and allies have faced accusations of corrupt activities, underlining a troubling trend of nepotism and favoritism within the government. 3. Conflict with Russia. The ongoing conflict with Russia remains a pivotal issue for Ukraine, and Zelenskyy's handling of it has drawn divided opinions. Early in his presidency, there were hopes that his entertainment background could facilitate a unique form of diplomacy. However, he has often appeared out of his depth. The events following the infamous August 2021 events reiterated the complexities and dangers of dealing with Russia, where Ukraine's sovereignty was under assault, while Zelenskyy seemed to oscillate between political maneuvering and genuine responses to military threats. His diplomatic missteps risked not only Ukraine's territorial integrity, but also opened the door for further aggression from Moscow. 4. Domestic policy and economy. Zelensky's domestic policies have been hampered by a lack of coherent strategy, particularly concerning economic reform. He seemed to lack a clearly defined roadmap for revitalizing the struggling economy, which has only been exacerbated by external factors, including military conflict. Dismissal of key reformers from his government has raised concerns about his priorities and judged his ability to implement necessary changes. Amid rising inflation and slow growth, his leadership lacks the visionary quality necessary to steer Ukraine towards stability. 5. Constitutional reforms. Zelensky's approach to constitutional reforms has been alarming, with critics arguing that his administration's initiatives undermine democratic institutions. The attempts to consolidate power within the executive branch reflect an unsettling trend toward authoritarianism. The president's maneuvers to shift constitutional norms demonstrate a troubling disregard for checks and balances, which is essential for a healthy democratic society. Instead of promoting a collaborative governance style, his actions risk alienating key political figures and groups, leading to further polarization. Public disillusionment and media relations. As his presidency progressed, public enthusiasm for Zelensky began to wane. The romanticized image of a comedian-turned-president faded as citizens confronted the reality of leadership fraught with indecisiveness and broken promises. His administration has often been plagued by poor communication, an unforgivable misstep for a leader whose background is rooted in media and public engagement. His failure to maintain transparency with the public has led many to speculate about his motivations, with growing distrust and dissatisfaction permeating the electorate. Moreover, Zelensky's relationship with the media has been contentious. His administration has been accused of retaliating against journalists and critics, using intimidation tactics to silence dissent. Instead of ushering in a new era of open dialogue, Zelensky's approach appears increasingly tyrannical, raising significant concerns about press freedom in Ukraine. Final thoughts. In conclusion, Volodymyr Zelensky's presidency has been a mixed bag, revealing a leader who is more adept at crafting a public persona than executing the difficult responsibilities that come with his office. From his initial populist campaign to his struggles with corruption, the management of a pandemic, and navigating conflicts, it is evident that Zelensky's tenure has not lived up to the promise many once held for him. While his background in entertainment may have captivated the nation, the reality is stark. A presidency characterized by indecision, policy failures, and a troubling trajectory away from democracy. As Ukraine continues to face significant challenges on multiple fronts, the question remains, can Zelensky rise to the occasion, or will he prove to be yet another fleeting figure in the complex saga of Ukrainian politics? The answer stays obscure as disillusionment mounts, leading many to question whether Ukraine can afford to gamble on the performance of an entertainer turned leader whose abilities no longer inspire confidence.